Was introduced to vaping when all the advertisements came out, when it became very popular.
Saw the commercials for, people trying to show that these e-cigarettes were a healthier alternative.
I just seen my friends doing it around, like, outside of school.
I feel like it's so much better than the actual cigarette.
The more I used it, the more I wanted it.
It's got to be healthy if they're able to put it on shelves.
It's just like water vapor.
Well, one of the most frightening things about the current younger adolescent and young adult craze with vaporizing alcohol, marijuana, e-cigarettes, other drugs is that we have no long-term research. But what we do know is really bad.
CBS 2 Orange County reporter Stacy Butler has information for parents about a frightening new trend on campus.
At least 1 out of 2 kids in school have them.
They look like markers or lip gloss.
It heats up, vaporizes the fluid, and you inhale it from this end.
Some even
Vaping is kind of like, have you ever been in a car that's an old car and probably needs a new muffler and you kind of smell a weird toxicity in the car? Well, that's kind of like drinking or smoking something. If you went outside the car and put your mouth right on the exhaust pipe, that's like vaping. So you've just increased whatever the poison is by a very dangerous degree.
An electronic cigarette is a battery-powered nicotine delivery device. It comes in all sorts of forms.
You can get disposable ones at your local gas station.
They make it so easy and so simple and user-friendly for somebody to just pick one up, pull off the tab, and get going.
It comes in a disposable, it comes in a tank form.
I don't think I've been to a party where there hasn't been one being passed around.
I definitely think there's a cool factor involved with smoking e-cigs.
Every e-cigarette that you buy usually has a kit in it with different levels of percentage of nicotine. So there's high, medium, low.
Kids call them vape pens, kids call them G-cigs, they call them cigalikes, and they love calling them hookah pens because that sounds really cool. They were actually invented in China in 2004. China's biggest crop is tobacco. So they started extracting nicotine from their tobacco plants and they put it into these vials. And you power up the battery and you get a vapor inhaled into your lungs.
I've never actually worried about what was in the gel or the liquid of the e-cigs, but I mean, it can't be as bad as smoking a cigarette.
Because it's not actually being burned and since there's no carcinogens, that it might be healthier for you.
I guess I thought e-cigs were a little safer than cigarettes just because they didn't have the tobacco.
I'm sure most of the people that do it just think it's just like water vapor and nothing else.
We don't look at the ingredients in something. We immediately direct our eyes towards the way the design on the box looks or what the name of the brand is. And that is what really draws a lot of these kids in, is that they don't question what's in it because of the way it looks.
The majority of kids are probably getting their information online. YouTube videos, people doing review videos.
There's very limited information out there.
E-cigarettes are a business. They're a multi-million. In fact, I read one study, Wall Street Journal predicted $1 billion sales this year. If you Google, is vaporizing dangerous? The first 20 hits on Google are sites trying to sell you vaporizers.
It's mainly opinions coming from other people that use these products.
When someone's trying to sell something to you, they're going to lie to you until it's made illegal to lie to you. That's what they did with tobacco for 100-something years. That's what they did with alcohol. Now there's warnings on alcohol. There's a lot of marketing of vaporizers, etc., that route of administration for drugs on the internet. Why? Because the man is trying to make money off you, right? So if somebody's trying to sell you something, understand it's almost never for your benefit.
Yeah, I think these companies definitely market these electronic cigarettes to kids with all these assortment of flavors that they have, flavors that aren't related to actual cigarettes.
I thought it tasted like chocolate sometimes.
And since they are unregulated, they were able to make them in all sorts of flavors.
Blueberry, strawberry, anything.
Parents do not like flavors like cotton candy and Jolly Rancher and Airheads. I've seen flavors that are mimicked right after the same brand name as a candy. And it's not because they want the parents or adults to go out and be like, oh yeah, I'm reliving this childhood friendly memory. No, it's because they know kids are very susceptible to two things, what they see and what they hear.
It's a toy to these kids, you know, they don't see it as being harmful at all.
It tastes like candy, so when he takes a puff of the e-cigarette, he doesn't think about the chemicals that are actually going into the compound to make that flavor. His brain is just connecting with the flavor itself.
They are not being checked for chemical purity, then we don't know what we're inhaling.
They feel so comfortable with what they know that they're not going to question it and go, hey, what's actually in this?
E-cigarettes are being sold as like the next best thing. It's going to cure cancer. It's going to get you to quit smoking. No, it's going to get you to transfer your nicotine addiction to an actual cigarette or a cigar to an electronic device that you're still addicted to and is still causing you harm.
But the kids in schools who are doing nicotine e-cigarettes, when survey was done, most of them ended up saying they will try a cigarette.
I think a lot of kids don't know that there is nicotine in it and that they're going to become addicted to it, because once you start smoking an electronic cigarette, you are going to become addicted to them. I have seen e-liquids that claim to have 0% nicotine in them, and I have had students say to me, oh, I'm not smoking the nicotine liquid.
If you do it for a little while, it gives you like a little buzz.
It's like harshness in my throat when I take a puff of it.
You get that like quick jolt of lightheadedness and a little bit of numbness sometimes.
I just kind of heard that you could get them with or without nicotine.
There is nicotine in it because you wouldn't keep going back to buy it. They hook you with a small amount of nicotine and then you are now addicted and you keep smoking it.
As far as I know, all the serums for electronic cigarettes have nicotine in them.
I guess you can't really ever know if it has nicotine in it because people could just, the companies could just be lying.
The nicotine is mixed in with certain other chemicals.
Once you get involved in using any sort of nicotine product, it's real hard to get off of it. It's the most addicting chemical.
You don't really even realize that you want it so much until you don't have it.
So as a kid inhales this nicotine, it gets into their bloodstream via their lungs. It circulates, goes up to their brain within 8 to 10 seconds and gives them a buzz.
Nicotine is basically as addictive in the brain as heroin.
All these substances, including cocaine, heroin, alcohol, nicotine, act on what we call the addiction center in the brain. Any of these substances can induce addiction.
Whether you chew it, whether you smoke it in a cigarette, whether you breathe it in an e-cigarette, whether you breathe it in a bubblegum flavored vaporizer, it does not matter.
Nicotine is, personally, I think, is a more powerful addiction than any of the others.
It elevates your blood pressure, increases your heart rate. It is only broken down through your liver and the kidneys. So here we've got this powerful drug going through all of these body systems, and the kids don't even get that. It is highly toxic in that it is actually used as a commercial pesticide. It alters your brain activity, and these effects last for days.
And you increase your chance of any kind of cancer by 800%. You increase your chance of throat, esophageal, and stomach cancer by thousands of a percent.
Nicotine in its pure form is deadly.
This one bottle has about 18 milligrams of nicotine. 1 tablespoon of this liquid will kill an adult. It is that highly toxic. If it were pure liquid nicotine, 2 drops would kill an adult. 10 milligrams is fatal to a child.
If you were to switch the question around, what if somebody came over to you with a needle and said, take this heroin? Would you put it in your body? Kids don't see this as a drug. They don't see it as an altering substance.
If I gave you a medication and said, oh, we have no data to suggest anything about it, would you take it? You wouldn't. Why would you take in a substance that you have no clue what will it do to you in the long term?
I probably wouldn't take something that I never heard of before because I don't know the side effects and I don't know what could happen. I could die. It's nothing, it doesn't sound like anything good.
It's a device you can buy at shops in this neighborhood, and it allows someone to use marijuana without the smoke or the smell. Now it's being marketed as an undetectable way to get high. Smoke shops selling everything from colorful bongs and pipes to incense and earrings line an entire block in Manhattan's East Village, a neighborhood popular with teens and the college crowd and a magnet for young people from all over.
Vaping marijuana is the most common thing that we're seeing among young people and young adults, and it's very different than smoking marijuana in a bong.
I have vape marijuana.
It is probably the cleanest way that you can absorb the THC.
Vaping marijuana is just pure THC and non-carcinogenic, which is supposed to make it healthier than smoking it and burning it.
THC is tetrahydrocannabinoid, which is the actual name. The abbreviation is THC, and that's the pure chemical that gives you the high. Marijuana, even though there's a huge push in the legal community and government to legalize it, it doesn't mean it's good for you.
We have proven by long-term studies that if you smoke, eat, or vaporize marijuana frequently as a teenager, you inhibit the brain's ability to fully develop and reduce their IQ 8 to 10 points. One of the problems with vaporizing anything, even breathing in water vapor after a certain point, is whatever we breathe in our lungs condenses in the walls of the lungs.
I do remember it being kind of harsh towards my lungs.
Lungs were made to breathe oxygen and not anything else. So any other additive that we send through the lungs is potentially a toxin.
And not that smoke is good for our lungs, but it doesn't have a condensation effect.
Once the vapor condensates, it becomes water, and water is heavier than vapor. So it will fall down to the bottom of the lung along with other chemicals. The lung only has a limited capacity of reabsorbing any extra fluid that comes inside it. The rest stays there. Now you have a stew of all these chemicals sitting at the base of your lungs.
And a few of the emergency situations that we've seen with vaporizing where kids didn't overdose, where they basically gave themselves deep pneumonia by putting a foreign chemical liquid into their lungs over and over and over again.
Doing one bag of marijuana, vaporizing it, it's quite potent.
We have been prescribing THC or components of THC or metabolites of THC for a long time as a prescription medication for people with cancer, advanced cancer, pain associated with advanced cancer, and nausea associated with advanced cancer. If you don't have cancer, there really is no reason for you to be prescribed any drug.
And the problem that we're seeing is with legalization, the message is being given to young people and adults that it must be harmless. Well, tobacco is legal and it kills more people worldwide than any other substance every day.
A warning for parents. Teens are now finding new ways to get drunker even faster, a dangerous combination that can be deadly.
The way I heard about vaping alcohol is actually, I was at a party once and my friends were watching YouTube videos.
A new underage drinking trend is putting teenagers at serious risk.
Vaping alcohol, I saw that on the internet. A lot of the problems with alcohol now that I can see is that it's changed from being a social scene. People are using it now as just a way to be completely hammered to the point where they don't remember the night. They want to just be completely annihilated, and that's what a lot of it has turned into.
I have seen plenty of girls, whether they're my friends or not, have gotten so, I don't know, like so drunk or so high that they have just passed out. And it's scary because they don't know what they're doing to their bodies, and the next day they'll just go and do it again.
And my friends were all joking, like, yeah, let's vape a bottle, let's vape a bottle.
They have an actual mug, coffee mug, a metal one. They put the dry ice in there.
They took a soda cap, they put it on the bottle, they popped the soda cap through with an air pump, took the cap off, and took the hit.
They put the alcohol, they closed it, opened the lid, and would inhale some of the vapors. When I was at the party, I was like, okay, I might as well try. It seems different.
Didn't do any research the first time, so I didn't know how dangerous it actually was.
We're seeing that with alcohol, that people are getting powdered alcohol, which is still legal to purchase in the United States, putting it in one of these containers or with dry ice, and quickly they could breathe in the equivalent of like 10 shots of liquor.
I ended up going online a couple days later and reading this story about somebody who went to the hospital because they vaped alcohol.
So the average person in the United States weighs 150 pounds, this is statistically, and is 5'7". And the average person can drink about 2 shots of alcohol an hour, and they'll be inebriated but never go into blackout and never overdose, etc. By 5 or 6 shots of alcohol in an hour, you're getting into overdose mode. The body has natural mechanisms with all drugs to try to keep us from dying, and most people, when they ingest alcohol orally, will start vomiting at that point at about 5-6 ounces of hard liquor. That would be like a rum or a vodka or a gin, something that's at least 80 proof.
When you drink alcohol, it has to go through your stomach, it has to go through the liver, there is a rate of metabolism, and God forbid if you drink too much, you'll either throw up, or if you end up in the hospital, we can flush your stomach out and we can decrease the level of alcohol.
So the powdered alcohol doesn't have to go through the bloodstream, doesn't go into your liver, doesn't go through your stomach and your small intestines to be detoxed out. It goes immediately into your bloodstream and immediately to your brain. In one deep breath, you could inhale the equivalent of 7, 10, 15 shots of alcohol.
When it gets into your lungs and gets released into your bloodstream through your lungs, you can't take that out of your lungs.
There is no antidote. If you are intoxicated, you are intoxicated. There is no way it can be taken out easily out of your bloodstream. It can be lethal if you do it that way.
You may not ingest as many calories, but you're giving yourself instant, severe brain damage.
There's no formula, there's no type of numbers or algorithms that's going to explain to me how much alcohol content is going to be in this barrel of smoke that's going to go in my lungs.
The alcohol will get into your bloodstream and depress your breathing, it will depress your brain function, and if it reaches a certain level, it will lead to death.
You could take one deep breath that includes enough of the substance to kill you.
It is quite potent, so I definitely can see how people can get overly sick or even die from doing it.
You do know how much you can drink, but how much you can vape is a completely different story.
It's so new, we don't know what issues will come up. Is it going to damage the lungs? Is it going to damage both liver and lungs and everything else? Vaping is just something that you should completely avoid.
I don't know why anybody would ever try that. They're willing to risk their lives just for this little thing of a head rush or something.
I haven't really read about it. I don't really know much about it. But yeah, I would definitely say it looks like a risk.
Vaping anything takes away all of the body's defenses. Boom. You vape it, it's in your brain, because the damage that is done to the body is at a molecular level.
I felt not necessarily a need, but definitely wanted to do it at pretty much any time during the day.
The more potent the dose is that a person is taking in, and the more rapid the administration, the faster the brain and the body gets addicted.
The addiction, it's hard, you really can't control it.
So you can go to your quit lines. You can use the patch and wean yourself off it, but use scientifically approved methods for quitting.
The bad news is the younger you use anything, including nicotine, including binge drinking, the more likely you are to become addicted and the more likely you are to have lifetime problems related to substance use.
Even vaporizing alcohol, definitely I would recommend doing research and seeing what actual harm it does to you and how it actually affects people.
As a teenager, everyone thinks they're invincible, nothing's gonna happen to them. They can do this, they can do that, it won't be a problem. They're not looking at the long run, and even with some of these things, it can start affecting you sooner than you thought.
There's these things just thrown at us and people are just trying them. We do feel like laboratory rats when you think about it, we're just given things to try and we're trying them not knowing what's in them.
I'd say my opinion has changed about e-cigs because before I thought that I honestly believed that it didn't have any nicotine in it, and if it does, then that's a big deal because I don't want to get addicted to anything.
If you've never touched never smoked anything in your life, don't pick up an electronic cigarette and try it out, because you don't want to get to the point where I'm at or a lot of these other people are at.
Don't put anything in your body that you wouldn't put in your body at the dinner table in front of your parents. I know that's old school, but that's the way to save a lot of grief right there.
If anybody here would ever think about vaping, don't do it.
The risk is too much for me.
You're looking for like a social thing to do, find something else.